Hello traders, this video is going to be super interesting as I'll be sharing with you a couple of ways of using RSI, and I'm also going to bust a myth. One way of using RSI which generally people talk about, which is not the right way. So this video is going to be super duper useful to you. Alright, so generally you must have heard while using RSI that when prices are moving on downside and when RSI is oversold, probably at 30 or below 30, there's a decent chance that the market can bounce back, and that is what is visible to you right over here, correct? All right. Now in the next slide over here, you can see the same market which became oversold here. It shot up and now it is right above 70 and it is overbought and it corrects. I'm pretty sure this is what you must have heard normally, right? So actually this is not the right way to use. Trust me. I'll share the right information with you, but before going ahead, let me share some basic info about RSI. The person who developed RSI was Mr. J. Wallace Wilder Jr. in 1978. In fact, in one of the books he has mentioned this. And basically RSI is more of a momentum indicator. It measures the speed and change of the price movement to help traders identify whether an asset is overbought or oversold, and even when it's going to give a breakout. Yes, this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm not just going to talk about oversold and overbought. I'm also going to help you to spot breakouts with the help of RSI. Now going ahead, this is the general information in case if you are a starter, a beginner or something. This will help you to understand what is the meaning of overbought. Well, my friends, overbought is a situation in a market where market has been rallying pretty nicely. The RSI goes above 70 over here, all right, and after that, once it goes into the overbought zone, it takes a reversal on the downside. What is oversold? Oversold is exactly opposite of overbought. Market is in a downtrend. It's coming down with full momentum. RSI hits 30, stays there maybe, or maybe immediately bounces back, and then we get a U-turn on the upside. So these two things, number one and number two, this is what generally fascinates traders, that probably by using RSI we will be able to pick two things which are really difficult to pick in the market, which is top and bottom. But trust me, as I've been saying in my previous slide also, that this is not the right way. Let me show you some more information. Now again over here, now please pay attention, because in the next slide I'm going to share the real information. Now over here what you can see is that the market is correcting on the downside. By the way, this is Nifty correction in 2020, and this is just one example. You can probably, after watching this video, you can open up your chart, you can open TradingView if you're using it. You can actually go and find such examples to verify this particular information. So you can see that the market has been correcting. RSI hits right below 30, stays there for a while, okay, consolidates maybe for a few days, and then as soon as it comes out of 30, market makes a bottom. This is one thing. Second thing is, when RSI is generally below 50, and from below 50 it goes above 50, it starts a new uptrend. This number two use of RSI, generally people don't pay attention on this, and I'll be talking about that very soon in this video. And the third information is, you can see that the RSI has gone into the overbought level 70. Can you see that the markets have come down? Kya markets niche aaye? No, markets kept on rallying. Now this is where I want to speak about the real information, because this is how people talk about RSI, that if RSI is oversold, you buy. If RSI is overbought, you sell. No, this is not how it should be used. Now, first thing is, as per numbers, let's do some number crunching. RSI went into the oversold zone over here. Okay. And if you just look over here at this candle, probably a new trader will think, okay, we are in a long-term bull market. Yes, this is a medium-term correction, and we have a very good hammer candle over here. All right, this is a very good, is a very big hammer candle with a lot of big wick, and RSI is sold. Let me do some buying. All right. Now, when you do it, and if you do it, see what has happened. From 10,000 Nifty, it goes to 7,600, which means a pretty deep correction with a very fast span of time. Now you will say, sir, that within a very short span of time, RSI has corrected, the price has corrected, RSI is still into oversold zone because this was an extremely horrifying situation. It was a time of COVID. All right, I will say I agree with you. Then let me show you the next example. In the next example, see this. RSI has stayed above 70 and market kept on rallying. So one thing which I would like to share with you, that if you're holding a stock or anything else and that market is trending on the upside consistently, and if it goes into the overbought zone, as a trader, at least I will not sell it prematurely, because it can happen that in a strong uptrend, the trend can continue and RSI can remain in an overbought situation for a prolonged period of time, for a long period of time. Yes, there can be small jitters, there can be small consolidations, a 1 or 2 days profit booking, but the overall trend might continue to stay on the upside. Even in the next example, if you see, this is a very low volatility, very slow and steady downtrend. This is unlike COVID, like in the previous slide, where if you must have thought, okay, it was COVID and it was a panicky situation, fine. What about this? The stock has stayed in a downtrend for a pretty well 1.5 month on the downside, and from the levels of 1400, I think the stock has come down to sub 1250 levels, possibly 1220, 1225. And if someone started nibbling, started buying over here in this stock, he is consistently adding positions which are already in a loss. So now, so far in this video, I have shared information with you regarding RSI, how not to use it. Now I'm going to share the information actually how to use RSI. All right. First thing over here is, please pay attention that what I have used over here is a trend line. Trend line is one of my favorite tools, by the way. What I've done over here is I have taken 3 points, number 1, number 2, and this number 3. I have connected these 3 points with the help of a trend line, and we have a trend line breakout in RSI. Now, let's wait for a minute. A person might think that once we have a trend line breakout in price, okay, so the breakout is here, let me buy right over here, just above the bottom. Yes, it can be extremely fascinating, mouth-watering to buy at a very cheaper price. But my friends, never ever do it. I'll tell you why. Because the reason is, in terms of importance, if there are 2 things, one is price, second is RSI. In terms of importance, my friends, number 1 will go to price, number 2 will go to RSI. Price is always more important. So yes, using trendline breakout in RSI is super duper useful. And if you are a person who has been following my YouTube channel, you will see a lot of times when I'm using trendline breakouts in RSI. So what should a trader do is construct a trend line in price as well. Number 1, number 2 point, number 3 point, and number 4. So when we have a trend line breakout over here in price, which is already confirmed before in the RSI, then you can say, yes, now we have a confirmed breakout. This is one way of using RSI. Also, one more thing, if you pay attention, RSI has moved above 50. And just when this happens, there is a breakout. So what we have learned from this particular slide, my friends, is RSI moving about 50 is considered bullish. You can practice this particular thing at your end in your charting software. And along with RSI moving above 50, what has happened is we have constructed a trend line which has produced a trend line breakout in RSI. And after that, it also gave us a trend line breakout in price. And due to that, we can see that this particular stock from the levels of 200, it went to 280. So this was one way or two ways of using RSI. One was trend line breakout, other one was using the level 50. Now I'll show you the real way of using RSI with overbought and oversold readings, right? Now please pay attention. This is the same chart, by the way. See this slide and see this slide. This is the same chart, my friends. Now, once this uptrend started, the breakout occurred, stock went up, it came down, profit booking, again it went up, again it came down, and it starts going up. Now, this is a support band. I have marked with a positive arrow over here. This is a support band, and at this support band, can you see any oversold reading in RSI? No. Then how will you use it? What you need to do is, this is the daily time frame chart. This is the daily time frame chart. What you can do is, you can just go to one time frame below than that. You can pick 1 hourly chart, or you can pick 2 hourly chart. All right. If you're using the weekly time frame chart, suppose if you are a trader who is using weekly, if you are doing the analysis on the weekly time frame chart, you can go to the daily time frame chart. Okay. So I'll repeat. A breakout happens over here. Let me just clear this information. A breakout happens over here. A consolidation comes up. We find a support band. Once we find a support band, now the start of RSI starts. See, this is the next slide, and this is the same chart, but this is the 2 hourly time frame chart. This is the 2 hourly time frame chart, and this is the same support band. This time we can see RSI is very close to 30, not exactly 30, but very, very close to 30. In fact, over here, you can see a positive divergence. Now, I know that I have not spoken about positive divergence or negative divergence, but I'll speak about it very soon. Just stay in the video. And you can see over here that this entire time RSI was close to the oversold level, and from here there was a massive rally. So this is the right way of using RSI. So first you find a breakout in the higher time frame chart when the stock retraces, and it retraces pretty nicely. Then you go to the lower time frame chart and find out these readings in RSI, which will probably give you a zone of comfort from where you can probably, try to trade these bounce backs. All right, great. So what have we learned so far? So far what we have learned is, my friends, that RSI is a good indicator, but using it as a standalone indicator is not a good idea. What I mean to say is, standalone means if you just pick RSI and say, okay, the RSI is overbought, I buy. The RSI is oversold, I will sell. This is not the right way. Also, what we have learned is, by ignoring market trends, generally when markets are in a very strong uptrend or a downtrend, they can persist and they can stay in the overbought and in the oversold zones for a pretty long time. And as you learn from few of the examples today in the video, that if you buy a stock which is falling, it can be possible that you will keep on adding to your losing position. And if you're holding a long position, if the rally is continuing, the RSI hits the overbought level, and you think that, okay, probably it's overbought, let me book profits and let me get out. It'll come down, I'll buy again. That is not how things work, my friends, in the real world. So RSI is, again, I'm saying it's a good tool, but it has to be mixed with other tools. Like you can use probably a moving average, you can use a trend line, you can use any other tool, whatever you want. You can probably use a Fibonacci. Even, in fact, the best way of using is, as I told, that using higher time frames and combination of lower time frames. It is a way of using tools in a very simplistic manner. Like if you're using the daily time frame chart to find out a bigger trend, your entry will come from the lower time frame chart by using RSI. All right. So you can use RSI as a means to filter out false signals, but as I said, do not use as a stand-alone indicator. Okay. So I hope this video has been very helpful and you have learned from this video. And if you have learned something really nice from this video, please let me know with your comments below. It will encourage me to keep making good videos for you. And yes, I'm going to make one more important video regarding RSI's very, very favorite topic, which is called divergences. And I think there is a lot of myths about also RSI divergences probably out there. So I'm going to bust these myths also. So again, I hope you like this video and do share your comments below in the video. Take care and trade well.